You need truth and life. Here is the Brother Leon Show. You better recognize.
What's going on, listeners? This is your boy, Brother Leon, and you are tuning into another episode of the Brother Leon Show. So today, we have a phenomenal guest. Her name is Nisa Harper. She is an activist, an author, and also a well-rounded person. Hey, look, the one thing that I will say about her is that God brought her here for a specific task, a specific reason. So you got to understand that when gifts of God are manifested in the earth, that they're here for a specific purpose, for a specific reason. And God has called her to be a deliverer to the community in which she serves. So today we are going to have a phenomenal episode with her today. It's going to be a really on-point interview. We're going to talk about what she does in the community as well as her books. So guys, I want you to be prepared today for what we're about to bring right now with Nisa Harper.
How long have you been doing your podcast?
Wow, I've been doing this since actually August. So talk to me this morning. Who are you? So let me ask you this. So do you believe that your upbringing and help shaped you into the person that you are right now? I mean, you said you were born in the 70s and the women that shaped you. I know when I was reading your bio, you said that you mentioned the Nation of Islam. Did any of that teaching help you and shape you into the person that you are right now?
My name is Nisa Harper. Something I didn't mention, my name is At first, my name was Anisa. That's an African and Arabic name, and it means friendly woman. So my parents named me with intention. And let's see, like I said, who am I? I am, without the titles, I am someone who was born during a time, I'm a 70s baby, was born during a time of a lot of change and resistance going on. I always look here, but I'll look at you. A lot of movements were happening at the same time that people of my generation were being born when we were produced. Music, Black power, civil rights, feminism. A lot of families were, for the first time, experiencing divorce. And I'm talking about African American families, but it's also in the larger culture also. A lot of women were leaving the workplace to go into home. Leaving home to go into the workplace at first, for the first time. There was a lot of change happening, a lot of push. And that's where people in my generation were being born into this change. So people had to adapt to the change. There was, I know everybody wears their hair with the bushes now. Anybody who studies history, the conservative Black people at that time did not like that. They were against that.
Yeah.
So, I know it's cool now, but history shows that our people were resistant, which a lot of, by nature, we're resistant to change. The world teaches us that change can be scary. The world teaches us it's better to stick with what you know than change.
Yeah.
But if we know seasons, I know you asked me about me, but if we know seasons and we know things, then we know change has to come. That's why the leaves fall off the trees. That's why storms happen and disasters happen, and it wipes away the old and brings in something new. But what happens is a lot of times when change is first presented, like now, like back then, it's scary if you're afraid of change. So who I am is someone who embraces new things, and then someone who is also resistant to change. But titles that you can take with you: social worker, published author, writer, very creative, advocate, very outspoken, parent engagement specialist, grassroots specialist. That is my core. That is what I love. That's not a chore for me. That's not oh my God, I can't believe I have to do this again all day, every day. I love it. So that's who I am.
Okay. All right. Cool. So you were saying that you were brought up and then your parents were in the Nation of Islam. So did that help shape and mold you and give you the passions and convictions that you have today?
So partially, in surprising ways. Are you familiar with the Nation? Now I've seen and heard you talk. I've listened to you talk. I know. Listen to my question. I know you're familiar with the Nation of Islam, but what I was going to ask is, are you familiar with how a lot of women in the Nation of Islam are?
No,
Okay.
No.
Okay. No, I knew you were educated about the Nation of Islam. I've seen and listened to clips of you. My parents were like a lot of African Americans, even today. Christianity is what African Americans, have been raised on. The people, we can get into that part later, but so their families, of course, were still Christian. My father converted, 6'3" tall guy. He's dead. He's deceased. He converted, and he and my mom met in California. I'm from California, and then she converted. But my mom was already like my mother's grandfather. My grandfather, maternal. He was in their small town. He was like the NAACP president. My mother was already raised around parents and relatives that were very civically and educationally involved. But they're like a lot of African Americans. They're still conservative in their thinking, which is fine. But so when she met my father, I guess it was like, oh, look at this rebel. And so she converted.
Okay.
Right. But let me tell you something about the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
What you're fed and taught, it's not brainwashing, but what you're fed is almost as if they give the impression as if Minister Farrakhan and Honorable Elijah Muhammad are the gods.
Yep.
Now, they don't say that themselves. But what a lot of people in the nation do is look at them as if they're not human, as if they're not men. They don't tell people to do that, though. But there's a culture in there, within the culture of the strong Black knowledge of self culture. There is a idol, like a thing that I couldn't get with, that I know a lot of women and men who do. When you're brought up that way, you're going to do one or two things. When you're brought up, so first of all, let me explain my household. It's cool now to be woke. Back in the 80s and 90s, when your parents didn't eat pork, barely brought in beef, didn't buy sweet foods, you couldn't even have a Starburst because it had gelatin in it. Let me tell you something. That was not cool back then. It's cool now to be woke. That was not considered cool. No board brushes. At the time, we had a list in our household of the things regular things that we could not use. No, my mother didn't play that because my dad was dead by that time. We couldn't even bring it in. When my mom was still into heavily the discipline part, you're talking about somebody. The first time I had pepperoni pizza, I like to lose my mind. It was so good.
So tell me,
my mom can't stand that story.
So tell me some of the stuff that you was prohibited from bringing in the house.
Everything. So which helps me now because my mother didn't raise us on sweet stuff. So I get sweet things for my children. I eat chips, I eat sweets, but there's still a limit for me. And even with them, I've taught them, they don't follow it, but I've taught them, if you have too much of anything, it's not a good thing. So like I'm gonna tell you, we had to take off our shoes at first when we came in the house.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, my sister's 2 years older than me. She had to, this is in the 80s in Alexandria, Virginia. It was not, it's full of Muslims now from other countries. It was not full of Black Muslims, and Muslims weren't uniting at that time. My sister had to wear, a hijab, but a scarf to school. I couldn't wear skirts above my knees. Not that I wanted to, I just wanted to kind of be like other kids.
Yeah.
We had to take our shoes off in the house. This is in the beginning. Stuff changed in the 90s, so I'll tell you about that later. But we had to take our shoes off in the house. We had to pray a certain time of the day.
Yeah.
It did structure me. It definitely, knowledge itself. You're either going to get it or you're not going to get it because you're surrounded by the final call. Mm-hmm. You're going to meetings. You're seeing most of the women that you're around. They're covering their body. Beautiful women, but they're covering themselves. So you kind of either do one or two things. You'd be like, oh, that's how women are supposed to act. Or you just be like, I ain't doing that when I get old. You're going to go one or two ways. Mm-hmm. So it was what I needed at the time to develop me. In the 90s now, we'll talk about that later. Oh, yeah. Stuff got a little tricky in my household.
I feel you on the 90s.
The Nation of Islam birthed me. My mother is an avid reader, was an avid reader. All her relatives read a lot, had huge bookshelves. So I was always surrounded by a variety. A lot of people don't know the NAACP had a magazine called The Crisis. So I was reading The Crisis, Ebony, Essence, Final Call, anything Black in that household. We couldn't have, let me tell you something. There was no white Jesus on my mama's wall. None. Nothing white on the wall. I'm going to tell you what was white in the house. Okay. Because I was in Alexandria, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And it's outside of D.C. It's very multicultural. So I had a lot of friends, close friends of different races. The only thing white in that house was my posters on the wall. That was it. So nothing else. And she allowed that because it's my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing. Only thing white coming in there was the magazines I was bringing in, like 17. Mm-hmm. We had black soap. Have you ever used black soap?
I never even seen black soap.
Let me tell you something. Google it. Let me tell you something. Don't get black soap for your kids. That stuff is hard. Oh my God, it's so hard. Mm-hmm. So it was very much a part of a foundation that I needed because, see, with me knowing early on who I was as a Black girl, I was free enough to love other people of different races because I didn't feel threatened by them. Mm-hmm. And the friends that I had, we didn't talk about race. We were just girlfriends, goofy, nerdy girlfriends. So I was so secure in who I was that I didn't question who I was. No one can make me, oh, I wonder if I'm good enough as a Black woman. No, I'm showing up, of course. And I don't have to tell people who I am, whether I show up with the red or whether I show up with my natural, because that foundation with the Nation solidified who I was. So I don't have to shout it to anyone because I know. So I'm not surprised at racist behavior, racist laws, racist people, because I was taught that at an early age. Okay. So it's not like, and I also at that same age, I had a lot of friends of different races who their parents never treated me different. I was going on vacation with them. Like their parents never treated me different. So I didn't have to be different. I could just be who I was. And my white girlfriends would come into my little Black power home and we never sat around, talking about, yeah, girl, what do you think about that new law? Mm-hmm. Or what do you think about racism? We didn't talk about that. We was girls.
Yeah.
So I answered it.
Oh yeah.
Don't get black soap.
I'm not. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna Google that picture. Black soap. So let me ask you this. Tell us about your journey as an author. And did you, was it before the activism and advocacy, or how did that start? When did you start writing?
So I've always written, and when I look back, I wrote a book in 6th grade. I didn't call myself a writer then, but one thing I'm a believer of, as a mom, just as a woman. God gives everybody these gifts before we show up in the world. All these gifts. People look back to their childhood or their teenage years, a time when you were more free, a time when you didn't feel like you couldn't. Well, I got to do this job, so I can't do my passion. Or I got to do this, Your childhood and teenage years will show you what your passions are. Your passion and purpose is everything you're doing effortlessly all day, every day. If you like to talk to people, like you like to interview, you like to talk to people. So obviously, you're a natural conversationalist. Obviously, you're a talk show host. Obviously, you're a motivational speaker. Obviously, you sit on panels and you discuss race and you discuss religion. So it's just a lot of times. So I've always been a writer. And what I did with my kids and other kids that I meet now that I've gotten, I would say more awakened. Whenever I talk to somebody and they ask me, like, what's my purpose? I don't tell them what their purpose is because they can figure that out. But I do ask them, what do you love to do that you could do in your sleep? If you had $1 million, what would you be doing right now? That's your answer. And you can't let somebody tell you, oh, that's not going to pay the bills. Oh, you can't live like that. Oh, we got 1,000,001 examples, 1,000,001 examples of people who, comedians, authors, artists, makeup artists, motivational speakers. TD Jakes gets paid to cover people spiritually. So I'm sure back in West Virginia, where he grew up back in the day, I'm sure if he would have said, I'm going to cover the greatest spiritually, I'd be like, boy, go to that coal mine. What you talking about? So I've always been a writer, but I did not publish until I went through a very troubling time with my second kid's dad. And that's where my autobiography came out of. The Pain. That's where that came out of. The Pain, I turned it into power. God allowed me to turn it into power, to recognize my pain, and to transform that into a book. I initially went with a company, a small Black-owned company. That's another thing. Like, grow up in a nation, you support Black-owned all the time. You just do it. It ain't no, oh, it's a Blackout Day, let's support Black-owned. If you grow up in a nation, that's normal to you, because that's all they do. Black-owned water, I got you. Black socks, they got you. So but I understand how people are getting into it because maybe they didn't grow up in the nation. I understand that. So, but a blackout, we can get into that later too. A blackout ain't gonna cover it. Not if you're talking about lasting change. A blackout has to be ongoing. But I guess you got to start somewhere. I don't want to knock, you got to start somewhere. I don't want to knock people's awakening or.
That's the one thing.
I've always been a writer.
Okay, cool. So
let
me ask you this: what was the straw that broke the camel's back, where you decided to, hey, I need to make some changes, and that whole book came about?
Okay. So my first book is called, I'm going to answer it, Confessions of a Baby Mama. No more. It's had 2 different titles. I changed it. No more drama. And then one was no more pain. I was in pain. My second kid's dad, I have 3 kids by the second guy and 1 kid by the first guy. And this is what I touch on in my book. So nothing I'm speaking on is new. This is my sole focus of writing the book. I became homeless with my kids. I wasn't living on the street, but we were homeless, and I was my kid's dad is very well known in DC. And I mean, he was basically just not doing what he needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I'm saying it lightly because we have time. I know you have other questions. He was basically, let me put it this way: getting on TV, being around a lot of politicians, and a lot of traveling all over the country, and to other places outside of the country, and telling people, "Hey, Black men, we need to step up." And then behind the scenes with me, he was denying our children. Everyone who was in the community knew that. He was openly denying it, denying them. He was not being supportive unless he felt like it. And he was getting millions and millions of dollars that I didn't find out until later from DC government. Years ago, I would have never spoke on this. I would have just brushed around it. But you're talking about, I wrote that book 10 years ago. And so what was happening for me as a woman, as a Black woman, as a mom, is I had to go through a phase because I was still in love with him at that point. And I wanted to believe I wasn't seeing what I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But baby, I was seeing it more so. Let me move myself out. A lot of people, and I'm talking about Black people,
Mm-hmm.
we all have biases. This is everyone in the world, but we all have our own biases. And if we don't know what those biases are, they come across in how we relate to people based on what we think we're seeing with our physical eye. But the third eye, the spiritual eye, doesn't see what the physical eye sees.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, what are we doing? We're trying to be delusional.
Let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Was it almost like you fell in love with the imagination of who he was? And the reality of who he was, it was like, I'm maybe I'll love him past that, or he'll grow out of that, or
Yeah. Yes. And so let me say this though. Absolutely. That at first when you said imagination, I was thinking like Disney. So that's why I was thinking like, but no, you hit it on the head. And I speak for a lot of women in saying when God shows you who someone is,
mm-hmm.
believe it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about life. I embrace those experiences, Leon, because what I've learned that I had to learn, and he was a very good teacher, still is somewhat of a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
but not in a, we worked this out and we're co-parenting together. Well, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is we can learn from those who put us through some trials. We can learn, what do I need to work on? What do I need to fix? How can I get better? But make no mistake about it, everybody's responsible for how they act towards you, just like how we're responsible for how we act towards others. I did what a lot of women do. You want that person, you see their potential. You want that person to be something that they're showing you they're not. They're showing you.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that goes, let's work on self for the woman, the Black woman. How did I attract this person? Because we got to have something in common in order to be, we have 3 kids together. So that means there's a part of me that resonates with a part of him, but it may not show up. It may look different. Like I may not be lying about how I live, but look, I was being delusional about who he was. So I was being delusional, if we break it down some more, about myself. And what's so familiar to me about him that I stayed with him so long? So I had to do some searching, still have to do searching. That's a lifelong journey. And guess what I realized when I started the journey and started talking to, I reached out to other women. I was like, I need some help here. If it's anything I need help in, I may not do it publicly. I'm going to reach out to other people, even if it's anonymous, like, hey, I'm going to read things. I'm going to I got to figure out me on this journey. My journey's not over. So guess what it came back to?
What's that?
He's very similar to guess.
Oh.
Just take a guess. Why? A lot of times, how do women choose? Why do they choose certain guys? Because they similar to who?
To their fathers.
There we go. So when I did even though my father's deceased, he died when I was 6. When I did some searching, because then, I went to my mom and was like, tell me more about my dad, because she really didn't talk about him. She only told us the positive things.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandmother, paternal grandmother, has shared some things with me, and I started on a journey with me about my father. And guess what? He's almost similar in nature to my father.
Wow.
So that's how the book was born, out of pain,
Mm-hmm.
which produced purpose. Which I was like, wait a minute, I got to share this with other women. You don't have to take as long as me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me share this journey. Let me tell you what I learned on the journey, and I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it started.
Okay, so let me ask you this: along that journey, was there ever frustration that you had to deal with, where you just felt like, you know what, this ain't even worth it? You know, that frustration of wanting to give up.
Give up
Meaning basically
with life or the relationship?
No. Basically, when you were like writing the book and everything, and having to go through, you know, process those emotions and everything all over again, was there a time where you just felt like, you know what, I don't want to do this. I'm tired of reliving this stuff.
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it like this: I wrote my book in one night. No, 2 nights.
Wow.
That's how much pain I was in.
Uh-huh.
That's how much pain I was in the first book. So
Okay.
I'm the type of person by nature, if I'm going through something, I don't want to give up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to push through it. I want to get to the root of the pain so I can figure out how I'm going to get to the next level. That's me, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an all or nothing person.
Okay.
So for me, it's not like, no, I just wanted to be so strong. Now, for me, see, think about it. Like I started to see things about, oh, wow, my dad. Oh, wow. Then I had to begin to unpack the trauma of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up, like I said, in the 90s, it changed.
Yeah.
So my house got a little wild where I grew up. Matter of fact, it was the wildest house on the block. And my mother was a full-blown social worker, and she's a reverend. Baby, let me tell you something about two worlds. So I had to start to realize, wow, the stuff I witnessed in my childhood, teenage years, and young adult years, the trauma had an impact on me. I didn't know it had it. So I started to unravel. And guess what? 10 years later, I'm still unraveling. Mm-hmm. My family doesn't like that, but I'm not here for that. I'm here for the truth. Yeah. So I saw a lot of things. So there's no giving up, because then I might as well die. And I'm not ready to die. You know how Biggie had the CD Ready to Die? Mm-hmm. Nisa Harper ain't ready to die. Mm-hmm. Now, if I go, I go. But it's too much. When you think about all the untapped potential, all the untapped gifts everybody has in them, there's not even enough time on the planet.
Yeah.
So for me, and that's what I tell women, your breakthrough is right in that pain. Your breakthrough is in the pain. If you just push in, because the darkest day is before dawn. So if you think about it, if you cry, you upset. Like as women, we go through, and men go through too. Mm-hmm. You cry, you upset. Just be, what's trying to come out? Say that to yourself. What's trying to come out? What am I supposed to birth? Doesn't mean you're gonna write a book. Mm-hmm. But think about it. Tyler Perry wrote his plays when he was in pain, homeless. That's when your purpose is pushed out, when you're going through.
Yeah.
It's not when we all good.
Yeah, I agree.
When money flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is to learn to train yourself to push into the pain. It doesn't feel good. I ain't sitting here and say that. Mm-hmm. Push into it. You're gonna have a breakthrough. Yeah. So no, I didn't want to give up.
Okay. So let me ask you this: was there ever any part of the journey where you had to deal with forgiveness? Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of your ex, forgiveness of your father. Just because I ain't gonna lie, sometimes it's that right there, the word forgiveness is easy to say, but when that process starts happening, it's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's what they say is a key to your breakthrough. Like that's going to push you further. Mm-hmm. I'm an authentic person.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part was to forgive myself, and I still do that.
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize that's how my two other books came along, Legacy of Fathers 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize I was holding inside until this process started. I was holding inside. I hated my father.
Mm-hmm.
Hated him. I didn't even know that was there until I started going through this stuff with my kid's dad. Mm-hmm. And I had to unpack, like, where's this coming from? Yeah. And it didn't happen overnight. It was like a series of revelations, like, how you feel about your father? Mm-hmm. And I'd always be like, oh, he's nothing. I mean, he left all these Black women with kids around the country, and he was in the Nation of Islam. But look who I attracted to me. Mm-hmm. My dad. My dad died when I was 6. So what I had to do was I had to forgive my father. That's where those other 2 books came in. Mm-hmm. And it's filled with other people's stories about their dads.
Yeah.
So I'm not completely I haven't completely forgiven my kids' dads, both of them. Mm-hmm. Even with recent things that's going on. But I do understand that logically, I understand the forgiveness is not for other people, logically. It's for yourself. Mm-hmm. But here's what a lot of us equate forgiveness with. I know I do. I equate the word forgive with bowing down in a way. Like, why should I have to forgive that person? I know logically why. I know spiritually why. Mm-hmm. Why should I have to forgive that person for being a monster? So let me tell you, honestly, authentically, I'm still going through that process because that's for me. That's for me. Mm-hmm. It's not for them. And it doesn't mean I have to talk to them again. But that's something that I'm still going through. The word forgiveness is hard for a lot of people because you see it as a weakness. You see it as giving in. But spiritually, logically, the forgiveness is for us. So that's a journey too. Forgiveness is a journey. Yeah, people throw it out there. Oh, mm-hmm. Just forgive your, oh, the white man put a gun to your head. Forgive him.
Yeah.
I'm going to pray for him.
Yeah.
He just trying to kill me.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Oh, I think a lot of times what happens is we talk, but we're not necessarily thinking about what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. A lot of people getting on TV. You killed my son because he had a sweatshirt on, and I'm about to get on TV, Nisa Harper, and cry and say I forgive him. Oh, you better pass the cameras that way.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying what somebody else should do. I'm just saying, like, I'm getting on camera saying I'm a pray for Trump, who tells people that are racist, it's okay, stand back and stand by for all the niggers, Jews, and immigrants. He would call them aliens or something. Yeah. I'm just supposed to say pray for him. That's a journey for me.
Yeah, it's a journey for all of us because I look at it when both of John got shot. I'm like, ain't no way in the world. I mean, I understand his brother, but the rest of us, I'm like, nah. And then I totally get it. As Black people, we have been too forgiving, but I think the one thing that we have to embrace is that we have to begin to forgive ourselves for knowledge that we did not have at the time that we were going through certain things. And so, a lot of people, they just beat themselves up, because, oh, man, if I would have did this, oh, man, if I would have did that. You can't fault yourself for knowledge that you didn't have. So that's the whole thing when it comes to forgiveness itself. But I realize that even with forgiveness, it's like, forgive yourself, give yourself closure, give yourself affirmation, because if you're looking for a person to do it, you may not get it. And the thing is that at the end of the day, if, you forgive yourself, that takes everybody out of the equation. And that's the one thing I'm learning, because I had to get to the place where I had issues with my father. I had to forgive him. And then God allowed me to see things from his perspective and realize that you know, what I was looking for, he probably couldn't have gave it to me anyway. And that's the one thing that I had to deal with, because I looked at how he was brought up. I was like, man, it's amazing that I got what I got, you know, with the little bit of time that I had with him. So, you know, when we talk about that whole thing about forgiveness, it's like, you know, learn how to forgive yourself. And sometimes, you know, that forgiveness, it means forgiveness and trust are not the same word. Forgiveness and going back into the relationship is not the same. I'm like, no. If the trust is broken, it's broken. Now, if you want to, you know, repair it, that's something else.
Right.
You know, I'm not just going to give you
I
that,
agree.
because there's a lot of people that feel like, oh yeah, I forgive them. I'm gonna let them back in. I'm like, no, I need to see something. I need to see something, and then on top of that, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, son. I was gonna say, then listening to what you said, and I agree with. I would say all of that. Listening to what you said, then I think the message should come out more of there's categories of forgiveness and there's layers of forgiveness. And at the bottom line, what you said that resonates is forgiving ourselves. That's just a motorcycle, something outside, but forgiving ourselves, but there's layers to it, and that's not what's discussed a lot. And so what it is, it looks like it's a blanket statement, just forget. But there's layers, and then what you said, have you earned it? Have you shown me that you earned it? And what I had to learn through relationships, any type, not just like with the guys I've had kids with or guys I've loved, but even with girlfriends, even with myself, I've learned that don't listen to what people say. You can hear it. You can hear it. That's part of it.
Yeah.
But our actions, including myself, our actions that we do over and over again, we all have patterns. And I'm not judging good, bad, negative, but we all have patterns. And if we look at our actions, if we look at another person's actions, the actions will tell you who that person is.
I totally agree.
Again, not judging it.
I totally agree.
So like an abuser can say all day long on TV, I love Black women. And I love my mom. He may love his mother. Okay. I love my mom, and I think Black women are queens. And as soon as that camera's off, because I've seen it, as soon as that camera's off, monster to his wife in front of the daughter. So we a lot of times it's tough to deal with the truth. And I'm talking about, we can talk about society.
Yeah.
That's why society is resistant. A lot of older people, Black and white, not just them older white folk, but Black and white, are resistant to change. Yeah. They're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Y'all young people coming, whoa, 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 what you mean? Black lives matter. All lives matter. It's coming so fast. It's hard for them to process it. Yeah. I saw a video of a small North Carolina town. It'll come back to me. I think Garner, where Brooks Brothers, you know Brooks Brothers, the shirt, had closed because of Trump policies, right? But they interviewed people that used to work at the plant, that used to get their money, their job from the plant. And then they said, well, how do you feel? Because this happened during Trump's, the business is closed down for your small town. That helped bolster the economy. Yeah. One Black lady, two white people. Every last one of them said, I don't think it's Trump's fault. I don't like to bring it in. And then the Black woman said at the end, I just depend on Jesus. Now, I'm not going to judge her. I'm going to add some commentary. I'm not going to judge her. Because she probably done lived a life I ain't lived in North Carolina, small North Carolina town, growing up, still living there. I say, you're just going to trust Jesus. Well, Jesus is the one who took away your money. So I'm not going to get involved. I'm just going to trust God, submissive, Jesus. They told him not to be around prostitutes. You know what I mean? Like, this is somebody who was breaking all rules for God, under what God told him to do at that time. So the whole, I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to recognize what I see. I'm just going to stand back. That's
Stand
just
by.
not something I can relate.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get it. I want to go back when you were saying about a person they one way before the cameras and then something else you know behind the cameras. So it's almost like you're describing a person that has public success, but they are actually a private failure.
Ooh, and they feel like a failure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you're a thinker. I'm a thinker.
Mm-hmm.
Let's break that down for the black family.
Yeah.
The black family. I know this can happen to anyone, what you're talking about, public success, private failure, but let's break that down for the African American community. I'm a 70s baby. That's the time a lot of men
So
were
am I.
leaving the household.
Yeah,
They
so
might
am I.
some left their huh?
Yeah, so am I.
Say it again?
71. 71.
Oh, okay. So a lot of men, black men, were leaving the household at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that had an impact. Look at us in 2020. So what happened was 70s babies here. Some of the men completely left the household. Some were addicted to drugs. Some just didn't want a parent. And some were still involved with their kids. They just didn't live in the household anymore.
Yeah.
But now you got males and females growing up without a consistent father, stable figure.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden you get to we in our teenage years in the 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
Hip hop.
Yeah.
The anger, the rage, hip hop, Lil Kim, Foxy Brown. We talking about before Trina, before Cardi B, before Megan Thee Stallion. We talking about black males and females and Hispanics expressing rage. There's no father in the home. So now you seeing your mother work one, maybe two jobs.
Yeah.
You seeing drugs all around you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody didn't grow up in the suburbs, and some people did. Like Alexandria is considered a suburb, but it has different parts. So I lived on the south side of Alexandria, close to Alfred Street. That's not the rough part, but 20 blocks down it is. So that's where I would gravitate to my sister, the rough part. But it's still Alexandria, but it's close to DC. And we were in DC a lot. Our mother was going to church there. Once she transitioned from, being Muslim, she only went to radical black churches. So we was at, you ever heard of Bonnie Temple?
No, I haven't.
So Bishop Stallings, back in the day, he was the first African American to break away in DC, to break away from the Catholic Church, traditional, still Catholic, very radical. So even though she wasn't in the nation, we were still under do for self, love your brother and sister by any means necessary. It was still that. So just context real quick. Union Temple was so radical and free. I wouldn't call it radical, but a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Mr. Farrakhan used to speak from the pulpit all the time. Ayanna Van Zandt would come and speak from the pulpit all the time. Anybody who was about African liberation, black liberation, whether they were Christian or not, the Wilsons would let them speak. So I was always exposed to a lot of different black thoughts.
Okay.
On different levels, right?
Yeah, let me ask you something.
So
what about Shahrazad Ali? Was she ever
she can't speak.
Okay.
I don't personally agree with her.
Okay.
My mother used to have a few of her books in the house too. And even when I was a young lady, like a teenager, I don't dig her. I've seen clips and read how she condoned black men to hit black women, that we too mouthy. So I can't receive anything else from her because of what I've heard her say. She could have a pocket full of jewels, but because I've heard her condone violence for Black men to hit Black women to get us in line, she's not someone I identify with. She's not someone I listen to. And there's another sister that's really popular, gorgeous, that a lot of people resonate with, and I don't. Her name is Ali. Her name is Ali Zaya. I know you have to know what I'm talking about.
No, never. No, it's the first time I've heard her.
Okay, she's very deep. I mean, very conscious. Very. I like a lot of things she says. It's like this, Leon, from my perspective. I consider myself a feminist because the basic word of feminist, people got all this other stuff, is equality for males and females. That's the basic. It's other branches. There's womanists. There's there's a sect of white women who've taken over. No, I'm not. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I can't get with any type of, I don't care how the person looks. If they have my skin, whatever thing that tells people they have a right to, I'm not talking about self-defense, that they have a right to hit or oppress another person just because. I can't get with that.
Yeah. And
I'm also not considered a submissive female. Let me just let that, since that word is floating around a lot today. Because you should ask my mom. She'd be like, Nisa. But here's the thing that I read the other day on the internet. I saw a post and it said, every woman will be submissive if she trusts that man.
What you think about that?
I think there's truth to that.
Okay.
But like I was telling one of my buddies the other day, he was asking me about a question about some female, which is cool because that's how we talk. And I said, listen, you want to know who she is? I said, if you really not scared to really know who she is, I said, hit her with these questions right here. I said, she pretty, she got a nice body, because he told me about it. I said, oh, that's cute. That's cute. Okay. I said, hit her with these questions. Ask her if her dad was involved with her life and see how she responds. Then hit her with this. How did your dad make you feel growing up? I said, see how she responds. And so he started, I said, He was like, well, I said, any man who really is interested in a woman, you better explore her background, because if you don't know what you're dealing with, fire, baby. We can be fire if you don't know what you're dealing with. You think she cute. Oh, she got a nice body. She funny. You didn't ask about her father.
Yeah.
You didn't ask, did she see anybody die before in the street? You don't know that woman. She's cute, pretty. You didn't ask her if she's been raped. So you don't know her. And then you surprised when you do something wrong and we kicking your door down. Because you didn't really know me.
Yeah.
You knew what I liked to. Oh, that's so cute. And these are questions, let me be clear.
Yeah.
I'm in my 40s. I wasn't asking this years ago either. Is he cute? This is what I was asking before. Like in my 20s. Is he cute? Does he have some money? He got a girlfriend? I don't care.
Yeah.
This is in my 20s.
Yeah. I mean,
so
it's a whole lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. But if guys really want to get serious about a female, like I tell my guy friends, you got to go a little deep with her. And if you don't want to go deep, that's okay. But don't act like you want to go deep with her. If you're not prepared to hear some stuff that may have messed up her mind, let me tell you something. Don't be surprised when she's mouthy with you. Don't be surprised when she goes off on you. I'm going to tell you, as a female, she doesn't trust you. I'm going to tell you that. Because if she trusted you, when you say something, she's going to be like, okay, I know I can trust him. I'm going to do it. A female will show. You say, oh, baby, could you go get me out the refrigerator? And she like, what? You can get it for yourself. Let me tell you what that is, Nisa Harper 101.
Yeah.
You done did something. She wants to go do something out the refrigerator. She doesn't trust you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So some people be like, I saw a woman, she didn't fix her man a plate at the cookout. And I just be laughing to myself like, she don't trust him.
Well, let me ask you this. me ask you this: what if a man? Because I've asked women this before. Okay, your man asks you for a specific thing, but you come back with something that you feel like that he might have want. Oh yeah, I think he might want this, but that's not what he wanted. You know, say like I'm at the cookout and I say, hey, can you get me 2 burgers and some potato salad, but you bring me back 2 hot dogs and baked beans. I'm like, that ain't what I wanted. Here, you better take this. You know, like you're supposed to be grateful because he brought you back something, but it's not what you wanted. It's not what you asked for.
Right. I think so. Like, let me tell you what I think about that. I'm a direct person. So I'm gonna say what I want, and that a lot of people I've learned, not everyone, don't like directness. Is like if I say no, I don't want to, I don't like you, and it's not you. I can see we don't vibe. Some people may take that personal, right?
Yeah.
Because that's direct.
Yeah.
But it's really not personal. We don't vibe, right? So here's what I've learned. Different types of people. If somebody tells you what they want, why would you bring them something else back? They didn't tell you they wanted that. But you're talking to, I'm a direct person, so I don't understand that. And I've seen that happen too. Like I once had someone asked me what I wanted and what I needed, and a girlfriend. And when I told her, she didn't get it. And in my mind, I was like, why she asked me what I want and she know how I am? Why did she not get what I asked? She didn't have to do it. She wasn't entitled to give me anything. But for me, and the way I talk and the way I operate, I'm not asking nobody if they want something if I can't even provide it. That's number one. So what you're talking about, Leon, I think that's more so a conversation has to be had where, you know, it's even, oh, do you understand that of who I am, that when I ask for something and you bring something that back different, you're not hearing me. You can't be hearing me. A conversation has to have. It's a conversation starter, and it'll make you angry.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's switch gears because I ain't gonna lie. I think we could probably go with that. We definitely gotta do another show just on relationships.
Right.
So let me ask you this: how did you come to help women who are struggling, trying to come out of relationships that God bless you to come out of? Because there's some women they're actually running to things that you escape from. And how did you come to help women, really wake up and see, hey, you need to come on out of that?
Well, here's what I've had to learn. You can only teach through your experiences. You can only teach. You can't see when I was in terrible relationships, even in college, I was in a couple of abusive relationships. My girlfriends tried so hard to I was the only one that dealt with like drug dealers. My girlfriends did not. But ironically, my abusive relationships were not actually with the guys that sell drugs. They would say stuff to me all the time. Oh, Nisa, why you deal with him? Nisa, he's this, he's that. And I would profess my love for him. But so here's what I've learned now as a grown woman with a teenage daughter. Everything comes back to self. Everything comes back to self. Yeah. You attract, just what I talked about with myself, attract that type of guy based on how you are on the inside. You keep him around based on you. You don't feel good about yourself. Guess what we're going to attract as a woman? If I don't feel good about myself, I'm going to attract a guy who doesn't feel good about me. And then the nice ones, because we always got nice guys around. They've been around since we was in school, like middle school. The nice ones want to carry your books. I had a guy in college who used to carry my books, and I thought he was so corny. He was from DC, but I thought he was so corny. He used to follow me around. Yeah. He was not corny, but I see it now. I didn't see it then. I didn't think he had enough swag, So like, and I was also a wounded female, so I was looking for guys that I felt like could protect me. But I wasn't walking around with my head down or like, oh my God, I'm so scared.
Yeah.
It was also like, you want a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. Women that are in those relationships, they're complex.
Mm-hmm.
But the woman has to get to a, nobody can make her, nobody can force her, nobody can make her. But what people can do is talk to her and say, what was your childhood relate? What did you see growing up as a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're doing now? How did you feel as a kid when you saw your parents go through that? Because a lot of us are just recreating what we saw as a kid until we realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm repeating something.
Yeah.
So it goes back to the woman. Nobody can make her, tell her, shame her. People can talk to her, teach her, and say, look what I went through. And then it's still on that woman on her own time. And sometimes, unfortunately, it results in death. It's still on that woman to leave. Look at Tina Turner.
Mm-hmm.
When she left in the movie, she fought him to get out of there. Look how long and what she went through.
Yeah.
Left with,
Mm-hmm.
right? With one of my favorite boxers, Gervonta Davis. We saw him, what was that, a year ago, a year and a half ago, in front of everybody. I think it was in Vegas. Yanked his kid's mama, his daughter's mama by the neck and dragged her out. Professional boxer. So we talking about women don't just need the help, the men do too.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have never said that years ago.
Yeah.
But we talking about, look at, we 70s babies, these would technically be our children we birthed. So whatever they doing, they saw the older generation do. So we're responsible for that. We're responsible. It's easy to say, oh, just leave out of that. Oh, you got a house for her? You got money for her and her kids? You telling her to just leave? You going when she gets sad and misses him, you got counseling for her? Yeah, I didn't think so. You know what I mean? So it's layers to that. And male, it's not just the females, it's women too. It's men too. How did we learn these relationships? So if I learned it, I can unlearn it. Mm-hmm. If I learned it, I can unlearn it. Yeah. Right? So that's what I do workshops, self-esteem workshops. Even with my books, it's female centered. Mm-hmm. I talk about my relationships in my first book, but it always goes back every chapter. At the end of every chapter, what can you do? How did you identify this? What role did your father play? How did men treat you growing up? Yeah. It goes back to the woman and how she feels about herself. You know what I mean? That's all, because we can only control one person, us. We can't even control our kids, really. Mm-hmm. You know, so it goes back to that woman. It's more so when people see women in certain relationships, the worst thing to do is to shame her. My friends used to do that when I was in school. I would cuss them out, but it didn't help anything. Mm-hmm. When I was in college, I mean, oh, girl, you should leave him. He's a dog. And I'm like, I know he's a dog. He barked this morning. I already know that. Yeah. That didn't address my heart issues. Mm-hmm. But they couldn't really. My girlfriends were only telling me from our 20-year-old selves the best they could. You know what I mean? It was not like they weren't like, you go get counseling now. Now they would say that. Okay.
So let me ask you this. So, how did the healing journey start? And what was that like?
It started with the book, the first book 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's still ongoing. Okay. And there's different levels to it. Okay. Because once you peel back the onion on one thing, guess what? You realize there's something else.
Okay. So let me ask you this. And 5 years from the book. What was that like? 5 years into the healing process.
Okay, hold on. That's 2015. Hold on. That's 5 years ago. That healing process for myself, realizing, wow, I've been in terrible relationships with guys. Now, my friends, though, not the good guys. Ever since the men who really loved me, as relatives, since they died and since they went away. So what I was able to trace back,
Mm-hmm.
when my grandfather died, my uncle started to die. The men who were like brothers to me growing up, they all seemed to leave around the time I was becoming 13, 14, 15. And then I can literally trace back what type of guys I started to date. My men weren't around. I didn't know that then. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh yeah, he he's solid. Oh, that's my boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have like a rack of boyfriends. So, but the men were gone through death, through moving away. So I didn't know that. I no longer had my protection around me.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have pulled up and been like, I know you didn't just pinch her. I know you didn't push her. Then it started a thing where I became colder and harder as far as now you can't get close to me. You can't. I'm not completely out of that. As it pertains to
You
guys.
put the wall up.
Nah, you got to go. Huh?
You put the wall up. You put the wall
I
up.
did, which is a self defense mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
and it was matter of fact, it was at a point when I was in my early 20s and I was in college, and me and all my girlfriends were in college. I told everybody, including my mom, they used to try to just a regular hug. I was like, don't touch me. I don't want nobody hugging me. My mother will tell anybody that. My girlfriends will tell anybody that. I started to witness things like it's in my first book. I had a relative. Uh, she stabbed a boyfriend in front of me, and this is how cold numb I was to violence. I cleaned up the blood and went back to watch TV. So even though my mom was a social worker, it's not like she was sitting around having family meetings with us because she had her own stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So on drugs or nothing like that. But you're talking about we live right outside the murder capital. My mom worked in DC. We have relatives in DC. I was exposed to a lot too. So um, that's where healing begins. When you can look,
Yeah.
that's where healing begins. To look back and say, "Oh, wait a minute. When
Mm-hmm.
I was 13, I did see this. I forgot about that. I buried that." And that's when I started to act a little funny. Or that's when my grades got funny. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This
healing's
stuff. Yeah.
ongoing,
Yeah.
but you're not hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the one thing that I
And
tell
you,
people. No, go ahead. No, I think the one thing that I tell people with the wall is that, sometimes, I get the wall, I understand it, but a lot of times it keeps the bad stuff in, and it won't allow the bad stuff to go out, and it keep the good stuff from coming in and everything.
right?
And I totally get it. And I think the thing that some people, I tell people a lot, don't get into a relationship when you're vulnerable, because a lot of people, they want to try to have people to be there for them when they're going through their most vulnerable states. So I totally get it. The fact of, okay, this person's around. I had this happen. I had this person leave my life. I had this person die on me. Because I ain't gonna lie. Just going through that whole process of grief is, when you have a person there, makes it a little bit easier at times, because, you can depend on them you can depend on them. They can be that shoulder to lean on sometimes. But even with that, it's like, hey, you got to be careful at times, because some people, they're there to help you through some tough parts and seasons of life. But it's not meant for them to always be in your life, be intertwined in your life. So I totally get it, because some people, people don't like the fact that some people are seasonal, and we try to make them lifetime. And I'm like, they're there for a season, and you got it mixed up, trying to keep them there for a lifetime. And then you start asking God, well, God, why they leave? They was only supposed to be there for one season. For that season that you needed them, you needed that strength, you needed that wisdom. They gave you a part of that. And then their assignment was over with. But, we try to make seasonal people lifetime people, and sometimes that's, it ends up blowing up in our face.
Right, right. But that's part of life. Like
Yeah.
that's how we learn through our mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
We learn through pain.
Yeah, exactly.
We learn through being in like if you don't have an argument
Mm-hmm.
with your partner, with your husband, your boyfriend, whoever, if you don't have an argument, how do you know that where y'all have issues at? You gotta have the difference is how are we arguing?
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking? Are we yelling? Are we screaming?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's nothing wrong with having arguments, nothing wrong with disagreeing. That's normal.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is how are we doing it?
Yeah.
And it's one or two things. We doing it in a healthy way, or we doing it in a way where we can we're gonna have to learn that this ain't it. How do you learn that this ain't it? Unless you go through it and you be like, oh, I don't like the way this made me feel.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
you don't know. You gotta go through it. Our kids gotta go through their first somebody's going to, I don't want to say break their heart because words are powerful,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody's gonna hurt their feeling.
Yeah,
You know?
it's hard for us to see our kids suffer. I'm serious. It's
Well, here's the thing. Is it suffering
mm-hmm.
if that's a part of life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But is it suffering when we look back at the relationships like, oh, I was so in love with that person, and you realize like, oh wow, that person came to teach me something.
Mm-hmm.
So and I taught that person something. So it's not, I guess I'm not gonna say what you think, but it may not be considered suffering. It's just a part of life.
Yeah.
Like go with the flow, like water. Water just goes with the flow. Water doesn't ask which way to go. Water doesn't try to contain itself. The leaves, when they fall, the leaves don't say to us, should I fall today? Should I grow? The leaves got to die. They got to fall off, die, and be reborn, right? They got to regenerate.
Yeah.
And what we do is we try to contain stuff and contain people.
Yeah.
People got to grow. We got to grow, or else we're going to die. Die in our thinking, die in what we're doing. You know what I mean? So it's like, and sometimes you got to hibernate or whatever, just like, you know, just like the wintertime. Seasons are here for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not, you got to go through it. There's a lady named Millicent Hunter. She has a book. I read it. My mother used to have it. It was called Don't Die in the Winter. I read that like 20 years ago. Don't Die in the Winter. And she's like a reverend or something. Mm-hmm. And it just talks about don't die spiritually, physically. And when you feel yourself dying, do something that makes you feel good. When you feel yourself uninspired, unmotivated, drained, that's normal. Even the people we see on 100 every day, they're not always on 100. So it's normal to be drained at times, to be unmotivated, to get off focus. Thing is, we can bring ourselves back into focus, but it's okay to just be like, you know what, today is a lazy day. I don't even know what I'm doing. God, could you help me out? God, could you send me something to get me back on track? Yeah. I don't feel it today. It's okay to say that.
Yeah.
But to act like every day is perfect and every day we on 100, nah, that's not even real. That's not real. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I want to go back a little bit about because you are definitely striking up some stuff in my memory. Because the thing about relationships, people don't want to have the hard conversations, and then some of the criteria in which we pick, because I ain't gonna lie, I'm serious. I could be blindfolded. If you took my hand and put it on her shoulder, I still pick the wrong one. I'm serious. That's how bad it was with me. I'm serious. Because my only criteria, I'm like, yo, she need to be dark skinned, thick, with a big booty. That's all it was. And you know, the thing that I realized is that even in church, it's like, okay, are they saved? or, you know, do they got a job? Do they got good credit? And that was it. Never any questions about, okay, what was their background like? You know, who were their parents? What were their relationships with their parents? And then a lot of times, you know, they had the job, the good credit, they looked good, they were, you know, quote unquote, you know, spiritual. But then when you get into the relationship, it's like, you know, burning ship. And then now you're trying to be like, well, Lord, I thought this was my blessing. You didn't ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
You know, look what the Lord blessed me with.
And God is like, you pick that person. I mean, not Leon. Yes. Look, Leon, you pick the person, not
exactly. And then what you were saying about people gravitating to you, I used to wonder, like, how come I'm like, look, I keep meeting the same type of woman. And then I had to realize I'm sending out a signal. Whoever this woman is receiving the signal. So I'm like, something got to get broke or something got to get healed, because I can't keep continue, you know, same old song, but different singer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, you know, God had to heal me. But I think the thing that really came was the awareness of meeting the same type of woman, the awareness and being present to, okay, I'm going through a cycle, and this cycle needs to be broken. Because I'm not going to lie, I was like, man, one crazy woman out there, and then my wife, she said, you the one that brought all that crazy out of him. I'm like, how you say that?
Because it was in you too.
I was like,
but yours probably didn't present the same way. You probably milder with it.
You know, I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, I ain't never vandaled nobody's car. I ain't never did that. I ain't never slashed 3 tires and put sugar in the tank. That happened to me.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm serious. I never went to nobody's job and cussed them out, but that happened to me. Girl outside the gate. Talk about come the fuck outside.
Well, remember.
Oh man, that was embarrassing.
There was something in them that was in you, but remember, we don't all think the same.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, people would say, "Nisa, why you like that person? How did y'all even meet?" That's what they would be like, right? Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, "You don't know me if you gotta ask that," because what people are looking at is, oh, Nisa's quiet. Nisa likes to have, you know, a good time. Nisa's friendly, but you can't be with somebody unless there's a part of you that's like an invisible cord to them. Mm-hmm. It's just that because we all have different personalities. No, you didn't do what they did. Like I had an ex who stalked me. I didn't stalk him. Mm-hmm. But we both had, if we go a little deeper, we both had fathers that were missing from our lives. Mm-hmm. We both saw our moms work to the bone, which subconsciously forms a mule type of version of a woman that a lot of people hold. Mm-hmm. Oh, she can take it. She can handle it. My mother's strong. That's the statement. My mother was strong. My mother worked 16 jobs and had, you know, did grocery shopping and had clothes on her head to go do laundry. So why can't you take this stuff I'm going through? My mom did it. I saw her go through it, but people are not going that deep. A lot of us do share a lot of things that, no, you didn't show up outside of their jobs. Like, I'm not going to show up outside nobody's job, but there was something in them that was in you, and that's why you all were attracted to each other. But it's deeper. Mm-hmm. It's not the sugar in the tank type of thing. That person, you know, they showed it that way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You attracted. Yeah. What's that song? All Around the World, same song. I think it was a Tupac or
Digital Underground.
Digital Underground. All around.
Yeah.
Because you said same song.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I think the thing that I realized, and I had that whole Superman complex. And my thing is, yo, I just, come to save the day and everything. And I had to realize I had to get out of that, because I think the one thing about Superman, you got to realize he was Clark Kent. And then you also have to realize is that you're going to run across some kryptonite one day. And that's the one thing. That's the one thing that we never, I could take it until that person that's your kryptonite shows up. And then it's like, oh my God.
Right.
And so
right.
I see a lot of women, oh my God, it's like they feel like they got to save a man, create a man, and just, I'm like, girl, your name is not Titanic. You sinking, and, everybody's sinking. You sinking.
But here's the thing, though. While you and other people on the outside, right, it looks like sinking. But when we go back to their childhood, they probably saw their mother or aunties do the same thing. So therefore, they don't feel like they're sinking. They feel almost like, why can't you understand that I love this person? But it goes back to our childhoods. Yeah. If your mothers and aunties were in terrible relationships, I'm not talking about like grandmas and them, because they stayed together like 50-some years.
Oh, yeah.
If they were in terrible relationships and you as a young girl, you're seeing that. So what does that look like? And I only know because I had to explore that. Love looks like chaos. Love looks like we argue and we make up. Love looks like he loves me after he does something to me, and then he buys me something. I had a boyfriend like that.
Yeah.
And I only had like four. So in college, 4 boyfriends, but they were pretty similar. And so one of them, he was from DC. He would do something like none of the men, none of my uncles, none of my grandfathers, none of the men that were like my brothers growing up, never talked down to me, never put their hands on me. I was a pretty calm child, so I didn't get spankings. I think I got like 3 or 4 in my life from my mom, but I didn't get spankings. So they never talked down to me, always gave me money when they saw me, always nurtured me. But like I said, they got to a certain point, and I got like, I had father issues going on that I didn't know I had, right? So just one boyfriend, Eric, he's dead now, but Eric, whenever he would do something traumatic, he would cater to a need I had, right? So the women they don't feel like they're sinking. What they're doing is, until they get in therapy and until they have deeper conversations with their friends like you, it's more so like, did you see your mom do this? How did your mom act with men? How did your auntie, your favorite auntie, act?
Yeah.
When your mom says she loves someone, how did that man show it to her? It's those deeper conversations where later on that woman will think to herself in her private time.
Yeah.
Like how many, like here's a good question, because I have a lot of guy friends that are like, well, not a lot, but a couple of guy friends, they're usually rescuers, Superman.
Yeah.
Here's a question though. My buddy and I were talking about this the other day. I said, if you ask a woman, how many times did you see her mother or auntie get flowers from a man? I mean,
yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
How many times did you see your mom or auntie, even for the guys, the rescuers, the Supermans, even for you all? How many times did you all see a man say to your mom, you know what, you work hard this week, go get your feet done, I'm driving you. So what happens is, all guys are not terrible. Like I thought in the 20s, I thought all guys were dogs. But what happens is, even the men, you all start to maybe even overdo what you didn't see your mom do. The rescuers overdo it, not in a bad way. They want to pick up. They want to make women feel like they know,
Yeah.
But it goes back to your questions, like digging deeper.
Yeah, because I totally see it. I'm serious. I totally see it. You hit the nail on the head. We were talking about when you were saying all men are dogs. I think the thing that starting to come up right now is that all these niggas ain't shit. I'm like, oh my God, if I keep on hearing that, seriously.
That's how a lot of us back in the day resonated with Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown and Trina because
Mm-hmm.
think about it. All of us are girls, were women that grew up with no fathers or grandparents. Everybody,
Yeah.
almost half the women.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you start to when you're in your 20s, you say, dang, all the guys I keep meeting, they just dogs. This is how they act. But when you
Mm-hmm.
get in your 40s, you be like you just said, same song, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you get in your 40s, whether male or female,
Mm-hmm.
you start to be like, why do I keep attracting this?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I've obviously seen that everybody, all guys don't act like this. So why do I keep attracting? I know other guys that don't act like this.
Yeah.
Why do I keep attracting this? It becomes more focused on yourself as you get older.
Yeah. Yeah. I
On
think
your
at one.
healing.
I think at one point, my mom, she she was like, "How come you can't get away from that girl? She put a root on you or something?" And
It's possible.
it's, yeah, but see, the crazy part is that I believe in soul ties. I believe that when you have sex with a person, yeah, no, I was saying I believe in soul ties, and I was saying that
I do too.
when you have sex with a person, a part of them stays with you, and a part of you leaves with them. And so, when you look at a person's DNA, their DNA is now a part of you. Your DNA is a part of them, and so, looking back now, I'm like, okay, I see it because we make sex so trivial, and I'm like, nah, sex is sex. It's more than just physical. It's spiritual.
It is. Right. And depending on how much of a bond you have with the other person
Yeah.
is gonna leave a more lasting impact, footprint with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's some people that you can recall
Yeah.
instantly being with them in any type of way. But then some people you just be like, yeah, I wasn't really into them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So certain soul ties have a deeper impact than others.
Yeah.
And some of them are like kryptonite.
Yeah, exactly.
On both sides, that invisible chain.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I think too, we can kind of feel it when we first meet somebody. Like when you can feel like but it's not just a looking. It's a more so like a strong connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be that the strong connection could be both of y'all's traumatic childhoods about to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
Both of y'all's traumatic childhoods
about to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Both of y'all got the same pain, so y'all got stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally get that. Going back to what you were saying, about upbringing. My grandmother's philosophy was, a man gonna cheat as long as he paid, everything's okay as long as he pay that mortgage. You look the other way. As long as he keep a roof over your head, look the other way. But, I think the crazy part with that is that he might be doing all that, but then he also has a woman across town. He also has another family across town. And then you say that, but you're not even talking about the tears that you cry when you see it, when you find out, he done child another child over here, and you find out, and you just supposed to just work with it, deal with it, and and I look at it, and some people say, well, yeah, we've been together X amount of years. I'm like, well, petrified people, anything that's petrified lives amount of years. The question is there life there? That's the question. Is there life in the relationship? Is there love in the relationship? Because we can be in the same house. We can be in the same house and just live as roommates. And that's the God knows truth.
Right. And then breaking down, everybody has different versions of love. Some people love is money.
Yeah.
So, that's a love language. That's why I was with Eric for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't necessarily the most attractive guy, but he was attractive to me. He always took care of me, and that was big for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom didn't send me money in college. Like that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Even what your grandmother said, if you think about it, she's talking about I need my bills paid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to feel secure unless I have a home. That's basically what she said. So
Yeah.
you're talking about a financial dependent
Mm-hmm.
and not judging that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I was even with this other guy. Again, he wasn't the most what people consider attractive. I didn't cheat. Neither one of them. I didn't cheat on them. What people didn't understand is, Nisa, what you need. Nisa, you okay today? Like, now Eric was abusive. The other guy, Paul, he was not. But he spoke my language. I mean, he just, every day I came home from work, and he did, like he sold drugs too. But we didn't live together. But he would always, Nisa, you want to go out to eat? What do you want? How was your day? He never, ever, he didn't raise his voice to me. He never talked to me funny. That's a love language. People don't, you know what I mean? Like, he was kind to me, and people were focused on how he looked.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind, and he loves spoiling me. So what? He looks great to me. But I had to. The feds was watching him, so I had to leave him alone. But but people used to always, you got with him, like, oh, you. I was like, yeah, and I ain't even cheat. Like, I ain't cheat on him. Y'all focused on his looks. Mm-hmm. He was so kind to me and a provider. Like, he was very. Even though I had my own job and everything. Nisa, what you need? What you want to go here? You want to go there? What do you want? I'm seeing stars.
Yeah.
And I had to leave him alone because of the activity he was in, and I knew the police were watching, so I had to. But so that goes back to: do you know the person you're with? Do you know what they need?
Yeah.
Do you know? Some people need to be out and about on the scene all the time. They want to go to events, and they want to pop up here, and they want somebody on their arm to pop up here. That's fine. But did you know that about that person? Like, I didn't know that about my kid's dad, that I have 3 kids. I didn't realize, I knew his community side, and I knew he did a lot of events, but I didn't know that was a need for him. Because I don't want to pop up at everything. I like home. I like family stuff. Yeah. I like going out. But I don't want to be on the scene all the time. It's too much energy. But I didn't know that was a need for him.
Okay. So he needs.
You know what I mean? So I had to learn too. That was a huge thing.
Okay.
Sometimes he'd be like, hey, you want to go? I'd be like, no. Cameras, lights, all those people.
Yeah. And
so he found other people to go with. Believe it.
Wow.
I can laugh now. Funnier then. But so my point is, like, getting to know the person and seeing how they operate and what their needs are and what kind of family do they come from. Not to judge it, but you're going to find out a lot. But if you're not asking, if a guy's not asking that female the questions, how did your dad treat your mom? Was your dad around? Did your dad ever tell you he loved you? Did your dad ever tell you you're beautiful and you can do anything? If a guy's not going deep with that female, he may not fully recognize she could be a time bomb waiting to go off because she got fatherhood issues.
Let me ask you this.
I can only speak on that because I know.
Let me ask you this, because it's some guys out here, they love girls with daddy issues. They look for girls with daddy issues.
Of course.
I'm serious.
They pimp. You hear me?
Yeah.
Of course they do. They're pimps. Right? So all a pimp has to do, male or female pimp, is spot the female in need. What's her need? He gonna feel it. He's gonna feel it. What's her need? So you talking about pimps, or you talking about guys that want to be in real relationships? They're not gonna call themselves pimps, though, but they pimping.
Yeah.
Wait, which guys you talking about? Guys love the females with daddy that want to be in a relationship?
No, it's some guys that look for girls with daddy issues so they can smash. That's it.
But it's not hard in this world. It's not hard for a male or a female to get in bed with somebody. That's actually very easy, male or female.
Yeah.
What's tougher for people is to go deep underneath the surface and find out like who that person is and want to go somewhere with them. You know what I mean? It may not lead to marriage, but that's actually harder to do. To tell the person what really hurts you, what makes you vulnerable. To tell the person, well, you know what? If we get in an argument, I might dismiss you quick because truth is, my father left, so I don't really trust any man. That's a little harder. That's a harder conversation to have.
Yeah.
As opposed to you look good, I'm with you.
Yeah. So if you say that, so going back to that, what you just said about I have daddy issues, and if I may dismiss you quick in an argument. So is that almost like you're saying, hey, I might dismiss you, but I don't mean what I say. I say, deuces, but I really don't mean it.
But remember what I said about myself.
Yeah.
I mean what I said.
Okay.
So again, it would go to, send it down, please. It would go to, do you know the person you're talking to? So remember you told me about the example of you asked for a burger and the person brought you hot dogs?
Yeah.
Remember? Like, okay. So if you're that type of person, when the person, give me a fake name for whoever did that or whatever. Just give me a name for that.
Okay, Janie.
Just a fake name.
Yeah, like, Janie.
Yeah. Janie?
Yeah, Janie. Yes, Janie.
Okay, let's go with this.
Okay.
If you have Janie's personality, Janie's going to say one thing but mean another and want you to kind of figure out what she means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it breaking up? Hold on.
No, I can hear you.
Is it breaking out?
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you have Janie's personality, Janie's going to say, I like steak, when actually she's allergic to steak, but she doesn't want to tell you that. If you have this personality, you're going to say what you mean, and you mean what you say. So if I say, listen, I don't care if you walk out, well, my father walked out, Nisa's personality means that. Janie's personality is going to say this. Because I used to be a Janie years ago. Years ago. I've been direct, but I would temper down in relationships. Like I wouldn't say all but that's been years. Ask my kids' dads. That's been years. But Janie would say, don't come on the screen. No, Janie would say, excuse me. I don't care if you leave. And then as soon as he leaves, she's crying and blowing up his phone. So it really just depends on what. You say what you mean what you say. Or you still have some growing to do in how you communicate. So you communicate like Janie. So you say, I like the earrings you brought me when really you don't like them. Instead of, you see what I'm saying? So to answer your question, it depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that. After a while, Janie will get frustrated and it'll be like something little, because it's like, okay, I've been doing this, but you never said anything. You know what I mean? Like,
give me an example.
Give you an example. You say about the earrings. I bought you the earrings, but you didn't like them. Or, I bought you something a certain color, but then you saying, come to find out you really didn't like that color. But you just took it because I bought it. And then all of a sudden now we have an argument and you just say, I'm getting sick and tired of all this ugly shit you've been buying. And I mean, it's just one of those little things like, and I'm looking like, okay, where did this come from? I thought you said and the crazy thing is that some couples haven't been transparent with each other. You know what I mean?
And that's room to grow though.
Yeah. You
either gonna grow or y'all fight and break up. Yeah. You either gonna grow from that, right? Like, wait a minute. Because as females, we can hold stuff in too. Until and then an argument happens and we're like, oh, you don't remember 6 months ago when you had on that white t-shirt and you went in the kitchen and you said this to me? And you guys are looking like, what is she talking about?
Exactly.
We're like, you remember the sun was shining that day, and you had on your gold chain, and you are like, oh my God, what? Why didn't she bring it up then?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm gonna tell you why a woman won't bring up something.
Yeah, why?
She won't bring it up. Women are taught to not say how they feel, because then the guy may say, well, you're just trying to start an argument. So what happens is a lot of women hold stuff in because they don't want to cause an argument, but she really has something on her mind. She really wants to say something.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll come out 6 months from now.
Yeah.
In front of the whole family.
Yeah.
It'll come out later. So like, it really just it's a room to grow. After the argument, it's a room to grow, or it's a room to break up. Yeah. Because after a while, both people are going to get tired of arguing the same way. After a while, both people are going to say, I don't care what you do. But everybody wants peace. Yeah, exactly. But sometimes there has to be war at times. That's just a natural flow of life. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that one. So, hey, I just want to say thank you. So talk to me. How can people get a hold of you, you know, for coaching? How can people get a hold of your books? How can people start following you on social media?
They can always, I'm on Facebook. The young people say that's for old people. I'm on Facebook under Nisa Harper, Nisa, just like Lisa, but with an N. And all my books on Amazon, including my kids. That's a whole nother conversation too. Mm-hmm. The Trillionaire. But on Amazon.com, I am working on other books and other things. Very creative, but and always involved in advocacy some kind of way, because I love that. Like that's part of what I'm here to do, what I'm here to spread. And yeah, I appreciate it, Leon. That was a good conversation.
Yeah, we definitely have to do something on relationships, because I think when we go into season 2, we're going into season 2 of the Brother Leon show. We are going to focus on relationships, and I mean, we're going to talk everything. We're going to talk dating, marriage, sex. You know, what's the church's stance on dating, sex, and church? You know, we just going to talk about it all. So, So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I definitely want to have you back on. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Going to with my son and register the vote. So he can register the vote.
All right, then. Well, hey, you make sure you get out there. But hey, I just want to say thank you, and I definitely look forward to doing another interview with you. All right. All right.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks, Leon.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, guys, that was Nisa Harper. So, hey, I want you guys, man, get her books, get in contact with her, follow her online. And with that being said, we are going to
walk in the truth that makes you free every day. Follow Brother Leon on all social media outlets.